No, before we start. Do you have to know before we start the story? Do you know what diet is?
Yes, what you eat.
It's what you eat, so diet is what you eat. And then they mention impolite. Impolite means that they're not being nice. Yeah. Huff and puff means? That's, yeah, good job. So that's what it means. So have you ever heard of the story of the Three Little Pigs? Okay, so you've heard this story. Okay, now we're gonna read this story today, the true story of the Three Little Pigs. So look at the cover and the title. What can you conclude from just looking at the title page?
It's a different story.
It's a different story.
It's about a wolf.
It's about a wolf, right? So would you say like, so if it says right here, told by a wolf. So do you think that's gonna affect how they're gonna say the story?
It's gonna be a little different.
It's gonna be a little bit different. For example, when like you and your friend argue, like if both of you could tell me what happened at the same time, you could have a different story. Your friend might have a different story. She might blame it on you and you might blame it on her, right? So it's gonna change a little bit depending on what the person says. So right now I'm gonna show you a video about the Three Little Pigs, and I want you to so just to remind you a little bit about the story, okay? You keep in mind the story we just watched, okay? About the true story of the Three, about the original story of the Three Little Pigs. I want you to look through the book, and I want you to make predictions about what's gonna happen in the story.
He's gonna eat something. He's making a plan about what he's gonna put on it. He's putting the stuff on it. He's eating it. He goes to a house. He sneezes and destroys it. He eats the pig. He knocks on another door. He sneezes. He eats the other pig. He goes to the third little pig house.
Good job. So I want you to keep in mind your predictions well as we read the story. And after we read the story, just to make sure if our predictions were right. And after the story, we're gonna do a Venn diagram, and we're gonna compare this story and the original of the Three Little Pigs. And we're gonna look at the similarities and the difference. So I want you to pay attention to the characters of the story, about the events that happen in the stories and the sentence, okay? The true story of the Three Little Pigs. Everyone knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. Okay, nobody knows the real story, because nobody has ever heard the side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me L. I don't know how big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault we're cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If a cheeseburger were cute folks, would probably think you were a big bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a niece and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. So what do you think is gonna happen?
He's gonna make up another story.
He's gonna make another story. Let's keep reading. Way back in once upon a time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible cold and I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He was built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who is the right man who built the house out of straw? So of course, the minute I knocked, the door fell right in. I didn't want just to walk in someone else's house. So I called, little pig, are you in there? No answer. I was just about to go home without a cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. So I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed like great sneeze. And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down, and right in the middle of the pile of straw there was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not as much. He had to build his house out of sticks. I rang the bell of the sticks' house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, Wolf. You can come in. I'm shaving the hair on my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and snuffed and tried to cover my mouth, but a great sneeze, I sneezed. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy has fallen down just like the other brothers. When the dust cleaned, there was this second little pig, dead as the doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so it's the only thing that I was to do. I had dinner again. I think of this as second helping. I was getting awful full, but I still didn't have that cup of sugar that my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next door's house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And you know what the little porker answered? Get out of here. Oof, don't bother me again. Talk about impolite. I probably had a whole stack of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even a little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my clothes coming on. I huffed and snuffed, and I sneezed once again. And the third pig yelped, and you old granny can't sit on the pin. Now I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cop drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door. And the whole time I was snuffing and cuffing and snuffing, sneezing and making a little scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs they had for dinner. They figured out a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jumped up a story with all the huff and snuff and you blow your house down, and they made me a big bad wolf. That's it. The real story was a frame. But maybe you could lend me a cup of sugar. The original story, the true story of the Three Little Pigs, and the similarities, okay? So on the first one, the original. Is there anything that you can think about that I can write in here?
In the original, the wolf was bad.
The wolf was bad. And in the true story?
He was good.
He was good, right? And we can also write that the story in the original one was told by the pigs, right? And
that was told by the wolf.
But it was told by the wolf, right? So one of the similarities is that there was three houses made out of straw, sticks, and bricks, right? And they had the same setting. In the true story, the wolf was making a cake, right? And we can say that the wolf had a granny, right? Grandma. And we can also say that the wolf was sick, right? Over here we can say the original one, the wolf was bad, right? Right? The pigs were too lazy and one hard worker. No, that's just gonna go over here in the similarities, right? So we're gonna go ahead and move this over there. That's the thing that's similar. Both of them were lazy, too lazy, and one that was smart. Okay, the wolf was the original one. He said he fell in the fire. The wolf. I'm gonna look at my Venn diagram, and I'm gonna choose this one. The wolf told his story, and then I'm gonna look over here. This story was told by the pigs, right? So I'm gonna say, I wanna write a paragraph about comparing the two stories. In the original story, the Three Little Pigs, it was told by the pigs, right? The story with the little pigs, it was told by the wolf, right? And that's the differences, right? So now I want to think about similarities. I want to say both stories had the same setting. See, so that's what I see. Same setting, right? So that's how we use the Venn diagram. I'm gonna choose another one, and you tell me what to write, okay? The true story about the Three Little Pigs. Wolf was making a cake. What will I write? What will I write next? In the original, he was hungry, and he ate the pigs, right? Okay. In both stories, so I already told them two difference, right? And I'm gonna say the similarities now, okay? In both stories, what happened? They were too smart and too lazy. And two lazy pigs, right? So you see how I used it? I take some ideas from here and I put it in my paper to create a paragraph. So now I want you to try to do one on your own. There are two differences and a similarity. Okay? You can write that. Can you share with me what you wrote?
Yeah, in the true story, it was told by a wolf. In the original one, it was told by the pigs. And there were three houses.
Okay, good job. So do you kind of understand what we're doing? So we already know that we can read two different stories. We can read some are original, some are not original, right? And there's going to be sometimes there's going to be different views. And we want to compare the stories. We can use a Venn diagram and get different stuff from here from the Venn diagram. We can get similarities and difference, and we can put it in our own words, right? We can get similarities and difference to compare the stories. So for homework, I'm gonna give you two stories told by different people, and I want you to do a Venn diagram, and I want you to write me some sentences about the difference, compare the two stories, and how you're gonna compare is you're gonna write about the differences and about the similarities. Okay? Okay. Good job. Thank you.